Coming up right now, we're going to be talking to Republican Pennsylvania Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, who joins us now. And Congressman, I just want to ask you first and foremost, you haven't kissed Nancy Pelosi, or Pelosi hasn't kissed you lately, has she? Because I'm worried about your health. If Nancy's trying to give you a kiss.
That is, I normally don't kiss and tell, but I can tell you affirmatively that I've not kissed Nancy Pelosi.
Bloomdaddy.
Yeah, Carb.
I'm not worried about the senator's health. I'm worried about his reputation.
Congressman.
Excuse me. I gave you a promotion there, but yeah, I'd be worried about his reputation rather than his health if he kissed Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. So Congress, what do you think of that, though? I mean, you've got people going, hey, wait a minute, Pelosi kissed Biden on the cheek. Yet the White House is saying nothing to fear here because the CDC requirements are that somebody with COVID has to be around you for 15 minutes and within 6 feet. We're talking about close contact on the cheek with two people who are so old they fart dust, but yet the White House is acting like no big deal.
And remember, they were in that room together for, I would be willing to bet, an hour and 15 minutes in close proximity. It's amazing how the CDC guidelines and how the rules in general, they apply to us, but not to them. It's the same thing when they try to say, so this week they try to push through all this extra COVID spending, because they say that COVID is still around. And of course it is. Nancy Pelosi just tested positive, but simultaneously the Biden administration is removing Title 42 at the border. So we cannot turn away illegal immigrants at the border because down there, I guess there's no COVID crisis, but here we do have a COVID crisis. It's quite amazing how they want to have it both ways.
Yeah, and that's why you get so many people that get frustrated and upset, Congressman, because they sit there and they say there's mixed messaging coming out. You want kids in school to wear masks still, when COVID affects them the least out of the entire population, but yet with the border, you're okay with illegals streaming across, not getting tested, not masked, not anything. And yet you want me to do what? Hey, that's why the American people are so frustrated and ticked off.
Exactly. They should be. And remember, you still have to wear a mask on an airplane. And you talk about the science, the safest, the cleanest air that we have is in an airplane. It's constantly filtered through a Vectron's filter every 6 minutes. It's cleaner than the air in our operating room. There's been zero proof of any transmission on an airplane. Yet we still have to wear a mask there. And remember, it wasn't too long ago, Stacey Abrams, obviously much older than the kids around her, she's sitting there maskless while the kids that had very little chance of dying from COVID, minuscule chance of dying from COVID, all are masked up. If it weren't for double standards, the Democrats wouldn't have any standards at all. And the hypocrisy is so rich in that party.
Well, we see it on display all the time. I mean, it's all the time. All right, I want to jump over to Ukraine right now. So we've revived the World War II era Lend-Lease program to help Ukraine. What that is basically it's a de facto gifting of the equipment. It says that the recipient will repay us at a later date. We did the same thing in World War II. A lot of historians say it was a game changer for the Allies. It allowed us to quickly resupply them. By us doing this, it tells me two things, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, Congressman. It tells me that we now believe Russia's invasion of Ukraine presents an existential threat to the world order, and I think it now says that we believe Ukraine can win this war.
I would say both those things are correct, but I would say we should have been doing this a long time ago.
I agree.
Had we been more forward thinking and more helpful to the Ukrainians, it's possible we could have even prevented the invasion. We should have had those MiG-29s to the Ukrainians before the invasion. We should have been giving them Javelin missiles, Stinger missiles, Switchblade drones, small arms, whatever they needed to prevent the invasion in the first place. Unfortunately, we didn't. So all those casualties, all the civilian casualties, I still think could have been prevented had we taken a stronger position ahead of time. But obviously, I can't. My time machine is broken. I can't go back in time and do that. But moving forward, yes, absolutely, we should do this new revised Lend-Lease program, again, get the MiG-29s to the Ukrainians. But we should also be looking at creating a no-fly zone through electronic warfare, using our electronic warfare capabilities to take down to basically ground the Russian planes, to jam their communications. We could be doing that. For whatever reason we choose not to, I don't think it would be American boots on the ground, but it would certainly be a way to ground those Russian claims.
Talking right now to Republican Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. Carmen?
Congressman, there are some people out there still who do not believe that Vladimir Putin is a war criminal, but we go back 2.5, 3 weeks when he bombs a children's hospital and a maternity ward, and then this morning he bombs a bunch of innocent civilians, upwards of 1,000 innocent civilians, at a train depot. I mean, these people have lost their minds if they do not believe Putin is a war criminal, correct?
Correct. And gentlemen, please just call me Guy, as always. But yes, it's very clear that Putin, the generals that are directing this war, and the Russian troops on the ground have engaged in war crimes. Like you were just saying, targeting hospitals, targeting schools, bodies being found of civilians that had their hands tied behind their back, shot in the back of the head, mass graves. There's instances of sexual assault that have been reported. You cannot say that what the Russians are doing is shy of a war crime. Now, with that said, do I think it's likely that Vladimir Putin gets dragged before the Hague? Probably not. But do I think that is justification for us doing that no-fly zone? Yeah, I would say it is. And for making sure that we get the Russians to relinquish all the territory that they've taken from 2014 to present. And additionally, I would still advocate for Ukraine's admission into NATO, because had Ukraine been part of the NATO alliance to begin with, Russia never would have invaded. So making sure that we do that would show Vladimir Putin, would show dictators around the world that if they become aggressive, they will not achieve their aims. In fact, we will reverse their aims and objectives on the international stage.
Carmen, you want to shoot again?
Oh, getting back to you kind of caught me off guard. I was
That's right. I've got one for the congressman.
I was researching something. I'm looking for.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
So Congressman, let me ask you this: you have people out there, and a lot of them are conservatives who are saying that they believe that Putin's getting a lot of bad PR. That they even believe that maybe Ukraine is staging some stuff. You hear people saying, "Oh, they're the third most corrupt nation out there. We shouldn't be believing. We shouldn't get sucked into this." I mean, you're privy to all kind of intel that regular Joes like me and Carmen are not. What do you know that is fact?
Well, I definitely know from the briefings that we've been given, it's very clear that the Russians have engaged in war crimes. Now, I know there's some reports now that the Ukrainians were killing Russian soldiers. War is an ugly thing, but we have to remember that trying to blame the Ukrainians for this is basically international victim shaming. It was the Russians that invaded Ukraine in the first place. It was the Russians that were sending in the little green men into eastern Ukraine and into the Crimea from 2014 onward to sabotage the Ukrainians and foment dissent within those places, within those territories of Ukraine. So, do I think war is an ugly thing? Yes, absolutely. Do I think do I give the Ukrainians the benefit of the doubt because they're a democratic state and an ally of the United States? Yes, absolutely. It is very clear who our enemy is here, and it is Russia. We should be supporting the Ukrainians.
What happens to Putin if he loses? If he does not win Ukraine, is that the end of him?
So I do not think so. I know there's some people that think that there's going to be regime change. Biden is calling for regime change. He is the wealthiest man on the face of the planet. The oligarchs around him that support him are incredibly wealthy. I mean, we're talking money that we can't even fathom that the oligarchs have. Also, this isn't some kind of banana republic where the bodyguards around him can just take him out back and shoot him. I mean, this is not a third world country. He's got a professional security force around him. So this pipe dream that there's going to be this regime change in Russia, although it would be nice, I just don't think it's realistic.
All right, I got to go. I hear the music. We got to go. But real quick, Congressman, you have people out there like Rob in Cleveland who say, stay out of the war. We have nothing to do. This shouldn't be our business. What do you say to Rob from Cleveland real quick?
We need to be involved because anytime a democracy is under attack, they're attacking the West and by extension us. If we let the Russians get away with the invasion of Ukraine, what's next? I would submit that the Chinese Communist Party will invade Taiwan. Iran will be launching missiles into Israel. When the United States takes a step back, that vacuum that we leave is filled by our adversaries. That's why we need to be involved here.
All right, Congressman, always enjoy. Thanks so much. Have
Thank
a great
you, gentlemen.
weekend.
Take care.